Tonight on CTV News at 6. Suspect arrested. The man accused of starting a fatal tent fire at a Sudbury homeless encampment is in custody. And calling out the federal government.
Politicians' offices and asking them to protect my future. And that's when the reality of the climate crisis hit me, that our governments weren't doing enough.
A local climate activist joins a group claiming Canada is not doing enough to meet its climate target. Plus, celebrating 100 years.
We're here for the community, to serve the community, to look after the needs of veterans.
The Royal Canadian Legion marks a special milestone and looks ahead to the future.
CTV News at 6 with Marina Moore and Tony Rima with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The suspect in the fatal fire at Energy Court in Sudbury last week has been arrested. Brandon Gramling McEwen was located around 9:30 last night at a residence on Bruce Avenue. He's charged with first-degree murder, arson, and several other charges connected to the death of a 41-year-old man at the homeless encampment near the city's downtown. One person was killed this morning in a two-vehicle collision in Little Current. Provincial police say the crash involved a motorcycle and a vehicle pulling a trailer near Whites Point Road. A 72-year-old man from Thunder Bay was taken to hospital where he died of his injuries. On the North Shore, provincial police are investigating a school bus collision involving a transport on Highway 17 in Spanish. Police say 26 students were on board at the time of the crash just after 8 this morning. The investigation suggests the bus was stopped with its lights activated and stop arm out when it was rear-ended by the commercial vehicle. No one was injured. A 27-year-old from Winnipeg has been charged with careless driving and failing to stop for a school bus. Highway 17 remains down to one lane as cleanup continues. Police in North Bay have recovered several stolen firearms as part of an investigation into a break-and-enter last fall. In October, police began an investigation after several legally owned firearms were stolen from a home on Whitfield Station Road. Investigators eventually recovered the stolen firearms along with other stolen property, plus restricted firearms from a home on the same street. 3 people now face charges. A police funeral service for OPP Constable Tarun Bali will be held tomorrow morning, and we're now learning there will be some public access. Ontario Provincial Police say it will take place at 10:30 at the Mississauga Sports and Entertainment Centre. We're told there will be media access at the event as well as to broadcast during the service. People can also tune in by going to the OPP YouTube channel. The 29-year-old died in the line of duty in the community of Hearst last week. 3 young Canadians, including Sudbury's Sophia Mather, are taking the federal government to court. The group, which includes health and environmental organizations, is arguing that Canada no longer has a credible plan to meet its legally binding 2030 climate target. CTV's Lindsay Alick reports.
Sophia Mather is no stranger to raising her voice when it comes to climate concerns.
I thought it was something that was being resolved until one time when the next year when I was 7, I wanted to go see what my mother was doing. And I realized that she was going to politicians' offices and asking them to protect my future. And that's when the reality of the climate crisis hit me, that our governments weren't doing enough.
Now she's joining 2 other youth, the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment and Environmental Defence, in taking the federal government to court.
The federal government over the past year has been rolling back its key measures in its climate plan. And that climate plan is required by law under the Canadian Net Zero Emissions Accountability Act.
Had, who works for EcoJustice representing the clients, says the group alleges that the rollbacks have created legal violations, and they are asking the court to order the government to revise the plan.
We're hoping to get before the court and have this heard on the merits by the end of this year or early next year.
CTV News reached out to the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Nature and received a statement which says, "We are aware of the recent court challenge. The Government of Canada is committed to fighting climate change and reaching net zero emissions by 2050. We will continue working to build a clean, low carbon and resilient country. As this matter is before the courts, we cannot comment further."
When I was 13, I joined eco-justice case against the Ontario government. And now at 19, I'm joining the new case against the federal government. The Ontario case that I'm involved in is a charter case.
After the Ford government eliminated the climate accountability legislation last fall, eco-justice made a motion to the Ontario Court of Appeal to essentially reopen the appeal and are currently waiting to hear a decision. Lindsay Alec, CTV News, Sudbury.
New investments are helping spark big expectations in the township of Black River Matheson in the Timmins area. Today, community leaders broke ground on a new motel project. CTV's Lydia Chubak reports.
For the first time in years, Black River Matheson is getting a new motel. It's a project many here see as a sign of growth and renewed confidence in the community. A groundbreaking ceremony at the site of the former municipal building is the talk of the town.
This town is going to start booming, which it needs. Everybody calls it a retirement town. And a lot of the young people have left because there was nothing here for them.
The new motel, being developed by RCC Global, is expected to provide much-needed accommodations for workers, visitors, and families.
It'll affect local businesses, the mining sector, the industry around here, families, as well as organizations like the Hockey Association, curling rinks. We're going to be able to start bringing back events for everybody.
A lack of accommodations has made it difficult to attract tournaments, festivals, and special events.
We do our annual beer fest, which is our main fundraiser, and there's no places for people to stay in the community at the moment.
We just recently had the return of minor hockey to our area, which was absolutely huge. And with that, now it's no longer we can have actual weekend tournaments. I could think about actually hosting a weekend festival.
The motel comes as other investments are also taking shape, including a new coffee shop, restaurant, fuel station, and a proposed childcare facility.
This represents confidence in our community, so that's what we've been working towards.
They're always open to discussions, and we truly appreciate all their support that we are getting in every sense.
Construction on the motel is expected to begin right away, starting with 22 rooms and possibly expanding if demand continues to grow. As part of the project, residents will have an opportunity to help name the new motel through a community-wide contest.
I find it very encouraging with our new council there. They seem to be bringing the town ahead with all these new investments going on.
The new motel is expected to open this year. The municipality now operates from a downtown location. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Matheson.
Time now for our first check on weather, and it's been my question all week. Do I water the garden or do I let Mother Nature do it? Here's CTV's Tony Rima with his thoughts.
Thanks for that, Marina. I would let Mother Nature do it. Save the money on the water, let the rain come down, and your garden will grow. Let's take a look at our first segment when it comes to the weather and our forecast radar, pockets of activity, and draw your attention this area right here, Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, North Bay, and it's going to spill over into the rest of our broadcast region. You can expect unsettled conditions overnight into tomorrow, sun, cloud, rain over the next little while. I'll have more weather details later in the show. Marina.
All right, thanks for that, Tony. Well, it's been a big year for the Royal Canadian Legion all across the country as it celebrates its 100th anniversary. That's also the same milestone being celebrated by one of the branches in Greater Sudbury. CTV's Angela Gemmel reports.
After 100 years, you need a different perspective.
We came up with the idea of seeing the branch from the water. Most members see it from the roadway driving up to the branch. There's an opportunity to see the branch from the lake.
The private charter of the William Ramsey cruise boat took members from the Legion in the community of Minnow Lake on a tour today that included a view of Branch 76, which overlooks Ramsey Lake.
You see us.
This was one of 3 boat cruises planned for this summer as part of their celebratory events. Both the Royal Canadian Legion and Sudbury's Branch 76 in Minnow Lake are turning 100. To celebrate, there's been a free membership campaign across the country.
Dominion Command has put out a notice this year that anybody joining the Legion this year, it's free. So we have, I believe now, something like 125 new members just since the beginning of the year.
We're doing initiations on a monthly basis of 30 people. It's just exceptional, the outreach. And interestingly enough, of the people that have joined this year on the free centenary initiative, we have almost 80% of those people have signed up for next year as well.
The community service organization, which has more than 1,300 branches in Canada, supports veterans and their families. It's more than just the free membership that's attracting new members.
Every Legion branch is very community-based. We're here for the community, to serve the community, to look after the needs of veterans, of their families, people in need. We donate to initiatives all year long through our Poppy Fund.
The Royal Canadian Legion Branch 76 is also planning a gala on December 2nd, the actual anniversary date for this branch. Free memberships across the country last until the end of this year. Angela Gemmell, CTV News, Sudbury.
Looks like it was a great day out on the water. Still to come here on CTV News at 6. Inspiring youth to reach new heights. The Canadian Owners and Pilots Association talks aviation in Sudbury. Plus, is it the way of the future? We take a look at this all-electric airplane.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
North Bay City Council has rejected a proposal to examine pay for the next mayor and councillors. The rejected motion had called for city staff to prepare a report examining wages, benefits, and other financial benefits for mayor and council positions across the north. The motion had been put forward by Councillor Gary Gardner, who argued the mayor's job is a full-time position and should be compensated as such. His motion was defeated in a 6-4 vote. 2 organizations in North Bay are getting special funding to boost security and enhance safety measures. The provincial grant helps organizations and communities targeted by hate incidents. Out Loud North Bay, which works with 2S LGBTQ+ youth, is receiving $10,000 from the Anti-Hate Security and Prevention Grant. The money will support better protection for their volunteers and members. The Muslim Society of North Bay is also receiving a $5,000 donation. Cross-border travelers in the Soo should expect some delays for the rest of the summer. Work started this week on a pair of projects that has reduced the International Bridge to a single lane. International Bridge officials are asking for patience and caution from those crossing in either direction. Preventative painting is being done on the American underside of the bridge with cosmetic pedestrian rail painting on the top side. The project began last summer and officials say they've learned from the first year. They're extending working hours Monday to Thursday each week to allow for free-flowing traffic Friday to Sunday.
Both of these paint projects are going to be contained within one work zone. So we can control traffic for both the projects with the one set of lights. Right now they're timed to, I think they're on 2 minutes, and then both ends are red 2 minutes to give traffic a chance to clear. So the wait isn't too bad.
Officials say the work is slated to finish for the year at the end of August, but will return again next year and possibly in 2028. The Dawson Island Preserve, about 70 kilometers east of Sault Ste. Marie, has doubled in size. The Central Algoma Land Trust announced the expansion today after a donation of more than 1 hectare of land that includes 250 meters of shoreline along the St. Joseph's Channel. The land will be named the E.K. and Betty Wellis Point, named for the original owners. The couple's 5 grandchildren donated the land to the trust. The Dawson Island Preserve is now home to 184 documented species. The local chapter of the Canadian Owners and Pilots Association, known as COPA 13, is in Sudbury preparing for Discovering Aviation Day Saturday. The aim is to introduce youth to opportunities in aviation. CTV's Alana Everson reports.
It's an event giving young people the opportunity to discover what it feels like to take flight. Youth ages 8 to 18 can take a free introductory flight in single-engine Pipers and Cessnas, accompanied by licensed pilots.
So Discover Aviation Day is an event that COPA chapters have hosted across the country for many years. And with COPA Flight 13 being reestablished here in Sudbury, we thought it was time to bring this opportunity to our community and give youth a chance to experience the thrill of flight.
I know when I had my first flight when I was very young, it was very exciting, and this could help promote young people going into maybe being a pilot or AME, like an aircraft mechanic, or even possibly, air traffic controller.
Organizers say there will be aviation exhibits for all ages at the Air Bravo hangar located at the Sudbury Airport Saturday.
Throughout the day, visitors will be able to explore aircraft displays, meet pilots, and engage with aviation professionals.
There will also be a fundraising barbecue to support the costs of introductory flights for young people.
So it's open ages 8 through 18, and they can sign up by going to getwings.ca. We have a link there that they can then pre-register their youth for. Parents are required to be present for sign-in with their children. But yeah, you can sign up there, and we encourage everyone to pre-register as we have limited spots.
COPA 13 recently was revitalized in the Sudbury area after a hiatus. And the association says it hopes the day sparks interest in aviation, privately or professionally. Alana Everson, CTV News, Carson.
Meanwhile, members of the public can now take a flight on a groundbreaking electric plane at the Waterloo Wellington Flight Centre, one of just a few in Canada. CTV's Krista Simpson explains.
This is the east central part of Kitchener, as seen from the perspective of a passenger in an all-electric airplane.
It's an incredible experience. It's definitely something that's different than what we do every day.
This Velis Electro is one of two at the Waterloo Wellington Flight Centre. One is used for research with the Waterloo Institute for Sustainable Aeronautics at the University of Waterloo. The other is now available for members of the public to take a scenic flight, thanks to regulatory changes made last year by the federal government.
Before, we could only tell you about it, and our research assistants, the research team, of course, had the experience, but now it's open for any enthusiast who says, I really wonder what is it like to have a quieter airplane.
The aircraft arrived in the region in 2022 and has undergone extensive testing since.
Everything that we've done showed that the plane is safe, the plane is reliable.
Powered by two batteries, it can carry about 180 kilograms or about 400 pounds in passenger weight, offering a chance for members of the public to try it, seen as an important next step.
It is very educational for public. They are building trust.
The plane can fit one pilot and one passenger, and they'll spend about 30 minutes in the air.
Definitely a very small airplane, nice and tightly packed, meant to be aerodynamic.
Aidan Albrechtaz says many who go up in it want to see their house or university campus.
Oftentimes you can see the Toronto skyline as well, down to Lake Ontario towards Hamilton. So great visibility out there. See a lot more than you think.
The experience different from other flights.
Just the refinement of it all, the lack of vibration, there is still some noise, but less noise. And the fact that the windows are super clear and you can see so much out of them really brings up the experience for me.
The aircraft operates under visual flight rules, meaning it doesn't go up in poor weather. A flight costs about $267 plus tax and can be booked through the Flight Centre's website.
We'll be flying all summer into the late fall. The only thing that will stop us, of course, is weather.
This is the beginning of the electric aviation age.
In anticipation of a future where electric planes are the norm, not the exception. Krista Simpson, CTV News, Breslau.
Back over to Tony now for a check on the current conditions this Wednesday evening. Tony, it's probably a good idea to keep an umbrella close.
How true, Marina? Yes to that. As we take a look at our forecast radar, well, we have a little bit of clearing at this hour in through Sault Ste. Marie along with Sudbury, but as we hit the clicker, this is what you can expect, especially around midnight. Sault Ste. Marie, Manitoulin Island, showers, and that's going to spill over across the rest of our broadcast region. And things are going to be unsettled, to say the least, over the next couple of days. In fact, right into Father's Day. And again, pockets of activity. We get some clearing, brief breaks of sunshine, and then after that, well, you know what I'm talking about. Shower activity. Let's take a look at our current temperatures. 20 degrees in through Timmins and Cochrane. A little cooler for Moosonee. 19 for Cap. 18 degrees for Chapleau. Wawa also 18. Sault Ste. Marie, same temperature, a mix of sun and cloud. Overcast and 19 for Parry Sound as we head north. Well, North Bay, 19 degrees, a little cooler for Timiskaming Shores. Kirkland Lake, 19 degrees. And for Sudbury, 20 degrees, 18 for Espanola and Gore Bay, 16. Elliott Lake, 17, plenty of sunshine. 7-day weather forecast still ahead. Marina.
All right, thanks for the update, Tony. Next on CTV News at 6. Prime Minister Mark Carney shares his takeaways from the G7 summit, including the tentative deal between the U.S. and Iran. And a scathing report claims a lack of oversight into the Titan submersible implosion. Prime Minister Mark Carney is coming back from the G7 summit without having an official one-on-one with U.S. President Donald Trump. He's giving insight, though, into his interactions with the president and his reaction to the tentative peace deal between the U.S. and Iran. CTV's Mike LeCouture reports.
He had asked me about it on China.
Prime Minister Mark Carney explaining the hot mic moment captured at yesterday's G7 summit, confirming he was explaining the details to President Donald Trump about Canada's deal to allow Chinese EVs into the country.
And he likes the structure, actually. We had a follow-up conversation about it as well.
Carney says the two leaders had several conversations, but none of them included the CUSMA renewal. One of the bigger discussions at the G7 was the Iran deal. In a joint statement, leaders agreed there is a need to diversify trade routes to prevent choke points for energy supply chains, as we saw with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The statement also says, quote, "We welcome the potential for Canada to deliver significant additional capacity to global markets in the coming years." Carney says there are a number of projects and plans, both online and in the works.
There's other European offtakes in the work for Canadian LNG, and then as well, expansion of TMX, the oil pipeline.
Back in Ottawa, Conservatives had this reaction to that proposal.
This is evolving a little bit. It needs to evolve a lot faster than it has. It's a great resource we have in Canada. The whole world knows it's a great resource. It's been constrained by bad government policy.
Carney also described the Iran deal as a game changer, as he feels Trump's view of the war in Ukraine is shifting.
Change in orientation, a more realistic, in our view, expectation of where this war was going to go, and the position against Russia, the tightening of sanctions against Russia, the ability to provide additional defensive support for Ukraine.
The G7 leaders also agreed to consider giving Ukraine the critical licenses to increase domestic military production for things like missiles. It's something that President Volodymyr Zelensky has been asking for since last year. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Evian, France.
A key report from a special parliamentary committee today is recommending against the expansion of medical assistance in dying for those suffering with mental health issues. CTV's Abigail Beeman tells us why.
Since I was 11, I've wanted to die.
Living in poverty with anxiety, PTSD, borderline personality, and major depressive disorders among his diagnoses, Mitchell Tremblay is torn over the parliamentary committee's recommendation to indefinitely exclude people from accessing medical assistance in dying if the sole reason is mental illness.
5 years ago, I was cheering only for this expansion. This is all I wanted. And now today, I'll tell you, 75% of me thinks this is a win, that we're saving lives.
The majority of the special parliamentary committee and experts agree.
MAID should never be made available for people with mental illness. I say that as someone who is himself a suicide survivor and might not be here had the expansion that's set to come into law been on the books 15 years ago.
There are dissenting views also, with a July 11th deadline.
If you're comfortable with you and your family and your medical professions, then the rest of us should just butt out. It's not our life. It's not our choice.
Meanwhile, Tremblay faces an eviction threat. Frightened, he's bracing to be homeless for the 8th time. That's linked to the 25% of him unhappy to potentially lose MAID as an option.
I'm terrified, and to take that option off the table from me, I get angry and I get scared, and I see that in a lot of the people that I'm talking to every day on social media. And there isn't any kind of a solution for it other than more support.
Yet Tremblay says he's feeling more hope than usual, that perhaps society will finally recognize supports needed for vulnerable people.
All these things add up, and what people feel is that they're not worth it.
The government will decide whether to legislate the change. The Justice Minister won't commit to a timeline for next steps, saying it will take at least several weeks to digest the report. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Transportation Safety Board has released a scathing report into the 2023 Titan submersible implosion. 5 people were on board the Titan, which was operated by U.S.-based company OceanGate, when it imploded while descending toward the wreckage of the Titanic. At the time, the operation was supported by a Canadian cargo vessel, the Polar Prince. The report found that the Titan's carbon fiber hull failed progressively, with damage accumulated during each dive. The report also notes that the hull's properties were never tested to ensure they met the theoretical specification used in the design, and its construction did not follow standard engineering practices. The report also notes that Transport Canada was aware the Titan was operating from St. John's with the support of a Canadian vessel, but received no oversight. The board issued 6 recommendations to address deficiencies in regulatory oversight, technical standards for submersibles, and safety management. There's more news ahead, but first, let's get right to your full weather forecast with Tony Rima as we look ahead to Father's Day weekend.
How true, Marina. Let's start with our rainfall map, and this is where we are right now. And as we hit the clicker, we start to see the accumulation pile up. 34 millimeters of rain expected in through Parry Sound, a little bit more for Algonquin Park. The Sioux about 11, Latchford 12, 21 in through Kirkland Lake, 20 in Gore Bay on Manitoulin Island. This is what's causing the unsettled conditions. We have a low pressure system, so we have cold air mass. We also have this trough, which is coming from the center of that low, and also a cold front. And it's going to move in an easterly direction and also come down from the north into our broadcast region, going to create those unsettled conditions, shower activity, and temperatures, well, they're going to fluctuate just a little bit. Overnight, this is what's on the way. 11 degrees and a chance of showers in through Sudbury, the Sioux, 12, rain. Timmins, also a chance of shower activity. Temiskaming Shores, rain on the way. North Bay, 11 degrees. It's going to be wet. 4, Moosonee, 7 degrees, nice and cool. A chance of showers. Cap-Hurst, there's a pattern here, isn't there, folks? Chance of showers for Cap and Hurst. Wawa, we have 9 degrees. Chance of showers. Gore Bay, 13, and same temperature for Parry Sound. Okay, here's your 7-day weather forecast. Let's start with Sudbury Nickel Belt. It's going to be a wet few days. On Father's Day, 21 degrees, but we start to get a little bit more clearing Monday, Tuesday. Should be about 23 degrees, spot on Wednesday. As we head on over to Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, showers expected tomorrow. Temperature drops a little bit, then it starts to rise ever so slightly. On Sunday, 19 degrees, and next week looks good. In through Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, risk of thunderstorms. Then on Friday, temperature falls, but the rain sticks around even for Dad's Day. 19 degrees next week, though, looks pretty darn good. In through Temiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake, showers expected tomorrow, should be 23. Much cooler weather until Sunday, Father's Day, 22. Start to get a little bit more sunshine next week. Looks good at this point. And your 7-day weather forecast for North Bay, West Nipissing. Showers expected tomorrow, then the temperature drops about 8 degrees cooler than normal. Starts to go up a little bit. Father's Day, not bad. Sun, cloud, shower activity. Also a soggy Monday. And then Tuesday looks good. And so does Wednesday. And our pick of the day is courtesy of Wendy Lynn Hill of Sault Ste. Marie. And she spotted beautiful roses. Thanks so much, Wendy Lynn. By the way, you can send your weather pictures to us at weather.pictures@bellmedia.ca. The North Bay Humane Society is hitting the road to help vaccinate pets in the Sioux area. Eric Tashner will have that story right after the break.
You may not even notice someone is using one, but nicotine pouches are becoming more popular, especially among young people. As CTV's Stephanie Tiscos reports, the small pouches have long-lasting impacts.
It's a worrying trend.
We've seen this dramatic, rapid increase in nicotine pouch use by younger people. It is extremely concerning.
According to new data from the Ontario Tobacco Research Unit, nearly a third of young adults in Canada tried nicotine pouches as of February 2026. That's up from just 7.6% in July 2022. As for more frequent users, 4 years ago, about 1.3% reported using a nicotine pouch in the previous month. That number jumped to 8.5% this year, similar to smoking rates.
It's very discouraging, having learned so many lessons from tobacco, that we're having to learn the same lessons all over again with vaping and now nicotine pouches. We need the governments to act faster, effectively, to respond to industry marketing from the tobacco industry. And the sooner we can do that, the sooner we can protect youth.
The pouches do not contain tobacco, but nicotine is highly addictive, with children and youth especially susceptible. It can also be harmful. According to Health Canada, excessive amounts can cause poisoning, resulting in serious issues.
We do know that it is going to increase the risk of using vapes and cigarettes and also other substances in the future.
Jennifer O'Brien with Lung and SPEI runs a coalition called Youth Voices for Lung Health, comprised of high school and university students.
They have a lot of stories around nicotine pouches being passed around at parties, so being used kind of as a recreational drug. Especially around athletes.
While the use of nicotine pouches is still relatively new, they are already leaving their mark.
Kind of chronic gum irritation is what you see mostly, and if it's used over and over, you start to see recession, where the gums drop away from the teeth a little bit, and then that irritation tends to worsen.
There are concerns for what may lie ahead.
Truthfully, we don't know all the harmful effects yet. I mean, one of the obvious questions we have is how is this going to impact the incidence of oral cancers?
Health organizations in Canada have set a goal to reduce nicotine use to less than 5% by 2045. Stephanie Seco, CTV News, Halifax.
Now to a story of second chances, overcoming adversity, and dedicating a life to giving back. We're not talking about a soccer player, but rather an inspiring graduate who crossed the stage to receive his diploma. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan reports.
LeVar Bailey. LeVar is being congratulated on stage by their mom, Annette Bailey, from the faculty.
It was hugs all round for new TMU nursing grad LeVar Bailey.
It felt right. Having my mom there, it felt full circle.
This was actually LeVar's second time crossing the floor in a nursing graduation ceremony because his mother was pregnant with him when she graduated from nursing.
And while his mom has been a huge inspiration for him, a childhood experience was another key reason the 27-year-old chose nursing for a career. A tumor pressing on his spine left him paralyzed as a toddler.
It was very unlikely that I would survive the surgery, or if I did survive, there would be lots of deficits. But, since then, I've been walking, running, and jumping all fine. I had to depend on a healthcare team to save my life. It taught me the importance of healthcare workers.
Bailey's education included working with Thrive, a program at St. Mike's Hospital.
A program that helps youth and young adults who are suffering from violence and trauma to give them pathways to be able to access resources to help them work out those traumatic events.
Now he hopes to become an emergency specialist. ER Dr. Dominic Shelton says it's a difficult environment in an already challenging profession.
When you compile acuity of illness in addition to
the volume of patients that need to be cared for by nurses, it can be extremely demanding.
And Bailey acknowledges the current difficulties nurses face today.
Our first patient is us, right? We first have to take care of ourselves because we can't pour from an empty cup. I believe that nursing is deeply correlated in that. The preservation of humanity and life and giving it dignity. And I've always wanted to be that person, even as a young child.
Now he and the rest of the class of 2026 are ready to step forward as nursing professionals. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
To Sault Ste. Marie now, where pet owners will soon have a new opportunity to get their furry friends' shots and boosters up to date. As CTV's Eric Tashner tells us, the North Bay Humane Society is traveling that way.
The mobile veterinary team at the Humane Society is preparing for a long trip to Sault Ste. Marie to vaccinate as many pets as possible.
The farther north you go in Ontario, it's similar to human medicine. The harder it is to get care. So that applies to humans, but it also applies to pets.
From June 23rd to the 25th, the mobile vaccine clinic team will be in the city to provide wellness checks and vaccine appointments for pets in need.
We've got everything that we need in terms of the doctor, in terms of the license, all that sort of stuff.
Cullen says despite North Bay having a smaller population, there are more veterinarians in the city when compared to the Soo.
What we hear is that some people there actually go over the border to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, to get access to veterinary care there, just because of cost. But also access.
The Humane Society has partnered with other municipalities and First Nation reserves in the past to hold pet immunization clinics, including West Nipissing, Mattawa, and Doki's First Nation.
Based on the success of those, we decided to just kind of expand our reach a little bit.
Cats and dogs will be able to get their core vaccines like rabies, DA2PP, FVRCP, as well as Bordetella and any boosters. For pets just starting out their vaccination schedule, the cost is $155 per appointment. For pets with an existing vaccination program looking for annual shots, the cost is $145.
We encourage all pet families to find a primary veterinarian. This is really just more of a measure to alleviate some of the backlog.
Spots are limited. Owners looking to secure an appointment can book online ahead of time by visiting fixmypet.ca. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
And still ahead here on CTV News at 6, celebrating being Anishinaabe. An Indigenous fashion show teaches culture, creativity, and community. Stay with us. A Nova Scotia father has turned his pain into purpose with a bracelet business that honors his late son. As CTV's Vanessa Wright shows us, Maverick's mood bracelets aim to help people struggling with their mental health.
These aren't just bracelets. Each color represents some of life's most difficult situations.
Whether it be PTSD, anxiety, you just went through a bad breakup, you're struggling through addiction, cancer survivor, loss of a loved one.
Joel Brown wears more than one color.
I could also wear green. Green is PTSD, which I also got diagnosed with when I lost my son.
3-year-old Maverick was playing outside his Bedford home when he was accidentally struck and killed. Saturday marks 1 year since his tragic passing.
I miss his smile. I miss playing with him. I miss hugging him. I miss his personality. I miss everything about him. He was the perfect kid.
He hopes to honor his son through the creation of Maverick mood bracelets.
My goal for these Maverick mood bracelets is just to help people feel not alone.
The barcode on the bracelet takes people to a website where they can talk to others wearing the same bracelet.
People don't have the money for therapy. And even though this doesn't substitute therapy, for the cost of $25, you can let people know what's going on the inside without actually having to say a word and have a safe place to go.
And with every box sold, a 50-cent donation to a mental health organization.
Because I'm not stopping. I want to help people struggling with mental health. I don't think there's enough of it.
But by subtly putting those hardships on display, Brown hopes to change that.
And I know that if Maverick was still here, he would just be proud and he would be playing with them and he would say, "Daddy, I'm so proud of you."
Knowing a piece of Maverick's light will be carried by all who have the courage to wear it, and no, they're not alone. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Bedford.
Well, closer to home, Dokis First Nation School, southwest of North Bay, held its 4th annual Indigenous fashion show today. As CTV's Matheson reports, it's about more than just eye-catching clothing.
Students from junior kindergarten to grade 4 walk the stage, proudly showing off who they are, with ribbon skirts, shirts, and ash baskets.
It feels like I'm part of the Anishinaabe group. I'm just proud to be here to speak the language and all of that stuff, because then everybody can cheer for me.
This is so important that our students have the opportunity to feel so proud to be Anishinaabe, where they come from, and just represent their families, communities, and their school, and themselves.
Students worked on their clothing during culture and language classes from May until June, with the goal of learning more about their roots and who they are.
I think they leave here just feeling that sense of pride and saying, wow, I did this, and people celebrate me, and I'm important, and they just leave here feeling so proud and fulfilled being, like I said, Anishinaabe, and that's what it's all about.
Also honored to represent the First Nation were 10 community members who joined the multi-generational show.
I brought the language here when I was a teacher many years ago, because it was taken away. So for me to see this today, I'm going to get emotional. It is unreal, like how much it makes me feel so happy.
This is just a reminder that it doesn't have to be just Indigenous Peoples Day. It could be every single day to celebrate who you are and represent yourself in a good way.
Organizers say the skirt and shirt are unique to the students, and every component tells a story unique to the individual who will cherish them for years. Madison Marier, CTV News, Dokis First Nation.
Well, switching to sports, the Toronto Maple Leafs have named a new head coach. Jim Hiller is the 41st coach in the franchise history. The 57-year-old served as the head coach of the Los Angeles Kings from 2023 to this year. He actually served as an assistant coach in Toronto from 2025 to 2019. Otters at Vancouver Aquarium are getting in on World Cup action. They're predicting who will win the upcoming Canada versus Qatar match. The sea otters were presented with the flags of each country, which were made of clam paste, and the creatures naturally navigated towards Canada's. The home side is heavily favored to win the match tomorrow when they meet in Vancouver. And by the way, we will have live FIFA coverage tomorrow on CTV, impacting our 5 and 6 p.m. newscasts. You can still watch our 6 p.m. news online tomorrow and keep up to date with us anytime at CTV News Northern Ontario.ca and the CTV News app. Movie and music news now, including our first look at a new Shrek movie. Here's Douglas Hyde with the Hollywood Report.
Two Star Wars friends off on another whirlwind big city adventure. Oh, this is bad.
We're getting our very first look at Shrek 5. And something must go wrong at some point because Shrek, Donkey, and the gang find themselves in jail. Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Cameron Diaz are all back for the animated comedy, set for a summer 2027 release. Believe it or not, it's been a long 17 years since the last Shrek film.
Must have the precious.
The cast of the upcoming Gollum movie has a precious new addition. Anya Taylor-Joy just signed on to Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. She'll play an elf named Seren in the film, which arrives in cinemas next year. Andy Serkis will not only reprise his role of Gollum, but will direct as well.
We've seen a lot of strange new worlds, but we'll never see something like this again.
Star Trek Strange New Worlds will be warping back soon, and a brand new trailer is giving Trekkers a taste of what's in store for Season 4. The Paramount Plus show kicks off its 10-episode run July 23rd. In Hollywood, I'm Douglas Hyde.
Anyone that I know.
As expected, the U.S. Federal Reserve kept the interest rates unchanged. BNN Bloomberg's Marina Fernandez has more.
It's the fourth time they've held the rate. It stays at 3.5 to 3.75%. It's the first announcement under their new chair, Kevin Warsh. The committee split on what's to come, with 9 officials pointing to at least 1 quarter-point hike this year, and another 9 expecting no move or even a cut. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 70.84. West Texas Intermediate down to 70.61. Western Canadian Select is down over $5 to 62.14. And the TSX lost 264 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marina Fernandez.
Here's now a look at the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold dropped $67.59, closing the day at $42.6409 U.S. an ounce. Silver also down $2. Copper climbed 6 cents, and nickel was up 11 cents, ending the day at $8.10 U.S. a pound. Back we go to Tony now with one last look at the weather so you can plan your Thursday.
Thanks for that, Marina. Expect more showers. Let's take a look at our forecast, starting with Sudbury. 18 degrees, showers on the way in through Timmins, sun cloud, and a risk of thunderstorms. 19 for Sault Ste. Marie, 17 degrees and a 40% chance of rain. As we head on over to North Bay, 18 degrees. It's going to be a soggy day. 10 to 20 millimeters of rain in through Parry Sound, 18. Popular number, risk of thunderstorms. And finally, for Temiskaming Shore, 16 degrees, 10 to 20 millimeters of rain. Marina.
Thanks, Tony. And that is all the time we have here on CTV News at 6. Ian Campbell is in at 11:30 tonight with your late local news. But as we say goodbye for now, we want to leave you with more from the Indigenous fashion show in Doki's First Nation today. The sights and sounds were truly special and meaningful to all involved. So enjoy this as we say goodnight, and thanks for watching.